Might have just found the perfect formula to getting rich, not quick, but efficiently. Before you click off this video, I don't have a course, I don't have a $90 a month community to sell you guys. I'm not gonna be, saying comment the word millionaire and I'll DM you my free access doc. Simply just gonna be me and this whiteboard, basically giving you guys the exact formula that I have formulated, some might say. So this is basically gonna be everything you need to get rich. And I've done it. I run a 7-figure company, so I think I know a thing or two of how to actually get rich. So basically, here's you, okay? Now you're sad because let's say you're at $0 and you want to get to, let's say this is you and you're happy, and this is you at $1 million. Now, the reason why you're not at this guy, you're not at this level, you're not at $1 million, is because you aren't this kind of guy yet, if that makes sense. And the truth about getting rich is that it all comes down to one simple word, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now. So I'll spill the beans, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna edge you, don't worry. It all comes down, let me move my camera back. It all comes down to one simple thing, and that is one word: identity. So you are where you are because of your identity. You are never ever going to be able to surpass the story that you tell yourself. You're never going to be able to, for example, let me put this into perspective, right? A caterpillar. So most of you guys are crawling, which is great. Crawling is a part of getting rich. And you are a little caterpillar. So this is you. And bear with my caterpillar drawing. So this is you, and you're a caterpillar. Now, you obviously want to become a butterfly. This is what a butterfly looks like in my mind. That's a butterfly, okay? There we go. That's a butterfly, okay? So most people think that this is you, you're broke, this is you, you're rich, okay? Same graph, different animals. So most people are here. Most people are a caterpillar. Now, they want to get to a butterfly, but they think that the solution of to become a butterfly is simply crawl faster, which is not the case. As we all know, a caterpillar does not turn into a butterfly by simply crawling faster. That's not the case. But most people think that. And what do I mean by crawling faster? In business terms, I guess we could say, this would be outworking. So we'll just say outworking and working hard. This is going to blow your mind, okay? Stick around, don't click off the video. Trust me, it's all gonna collectively come together and you're gonna thank me later. So people think that to become a butterfly, they just have to crawl faster. Hence, in business terms, outworking or just working hard. The truth is, to get rich, you don't have to work that hard. Because it's not about how hard you work, it's about how long you can last. Okay, I have 200,000 followers on Instagram, and I didn't get there by posting 20 videos a day. I got there by posting 2 to 3 videos a day, every single day, without failure, for 1.5 years straight. So the truth is that in order for this caterpillar to go through metamorphosis, hopefully that's how you spell it. In order for this caterpillar to go through metamorphosis, it must become a new species. And AKA, it must commit psychological suicide or physical, it should go through, it's a harsh term, but it has to go into a chrysalis. It has to change its physical realm to become this new version. And that is how you get rich. You essentially have to commit psychological I'm just gonna do this so YouTube doesn't take this video down. S-U-I-C-I-D-E. Suicide. Psychological suicide. You have to kill your current self. Because the truth is, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna erase this so YouTube doesn't take my video down, but the truth is, about getting rich, is you are where you are because you are who you are. Does that make sense? You are where you are because you are who you are. Does that make sense? Now this plays into identity. So the truth is that it's just beliefs. It's literally just beliefs. So I want to get into beliefs. Beliefs is, my personal opinion, the most important aspect when it comes to getting rich. So beliefs is everything. Now, the reason why beliefs frick most people up is because humans have caveman brains. And as much as we like to think that we are evolved as a society, we're not. We are still human. We are essentially just old monkeys, if that makes sense. We have just evolved to walk, speak, have Bluetooth, scroll on Instagram Reels, and laugh at brain rot memes. That's all we are. We're still monkeys though at the end of the day. So you kind of have to understand psychology, how your monkey brain works, and how to get around all the bullshit. So the thing about beliefs is, one, we seek to confirm them, and I'm gonna do that right now, confirm. So the thing about beliefs is that we seek to confirm them. Number two is that they define who we are. Define who we are. And number three is that it's pretty freaking hard to break them. It's hard to break them. Okay? So the three main pillars of beliefs is that we seek to confirm them, they define who we are, and it's hard to break them. And I'm going to cover what each and every one of these means. So seek to confirm. What does that mean? The thing about humans is that we seek to confirm beliefs, and it takes a sense of accountability and loss of ego to sit there and say, okay, well, I'm not rich, but the YouTube video of the guy I'm watching is rich, so everything I know is wrong. And when I was 15 and I was starting out online business, it took a lot of willpower to sit there and put my ego aside and say, hey, everything I know about money, life, psychology, business is completely wrong. Completely wrong. I had to start from scratch again. And I was okay with that, because the truth about that is it's much easier to fix a mindset problem before it happens, opposed to restructuring your entire mind and cognitive function once it already pops up. Does that make sense? Humans seek to confirm beliefs. If you believe something to be true, you're going to behave as if it is true. If you think money is scarce, you will not make money. If you think that people who get rich are evil, you will either A, not get rich because you want to stay a good person in your mind, or B, do evil shit to get rich. Does that make sense? It's just confirmation bias. There's selective perception bias. There's two different cognitive biases. And same, for example, if you're scrolling on social media, the reality is that if you, let's say you're a Republican, and you only like pro-Republican content, you are going to be fed more pro-Republican content, in turn making you a very far-right Republican. Now, I'm not Republican or Democrat. This is not a politics channel, but I was just giving you perspective, okay? So the thing is first off, you gotta understand that everything, you are where you are because of you believe things, right? The way you believe things, the belief systems, your experiences, your trauma, your experiences in business and outside of business, in school with friends, etc. Now, you gotta understand that everything you know is bullshit. Because if it wasn't, then you'd be where you wanna be. Does that make sense? Next thing is these beliefs define who we are. So, the thing about beliefs is that if you believe something to be true, you are going to behave as if it is true. So every single day I wake up, and there's a difference in, basically to play into this, there's a difference between what you want to believe and what you actually believe. Because I'm sure all of you guys would like to believe that you're a billionaire, that you're a working hard, seasoned entrepreneur that never needs motivation and just works out of sheer willpower. Yeah, I'm sure everyone would want to believe that, but a lot of you guys don't actually believe it. So I want you guys to understand the discrepancy between actually believing something and wanting to believe something. So in order to turn this want to believe something to an actual belief about yourself, your sense of self and your identity, you need to go through a certain set of actions. So actions, okay? So you need to go through a certain set of actions. Now, the thing is that the difference between wanting to believe and actually believing is just behind doing actions. So I wanted to believe that I make $1 million a year and I am super rich and I work super hard. So you know what I have to do? I have to get up every morning and do the steps and the actions that are going to confirm that belief, right? If I want to believe something, even if I don't believe it, I need to behave as if it is true, and in turn, eventually I will believe it. Does that make sense? So now every single day, I work super hard, and I make a pretty darn good amount of money. So this wants to believe turns into an actualization, a materialization of this belief about myself, this sense of self, this self-belief. Does that make sense? Now, if you believe something negative about yourself, there's no really net positive to that. There's no ROI to believing anything negative about yourself. So you could be a narcissistic guy. You could be maybe even a little bit of an egotistical guy. But that's why all these egotistical guys are billionaires. I'm not saying it's good. I don't want to hit $1 billion personally, but you see what I'm saying. So the difference and the discrepancy between wanting to believe and actually believe is simply done and fixed through actions. So think about what you actually believe about yourself. Think about what you do on a day-to-day basis. Because what you do on a day-to-day basis, even the minute things that you do on autopilot, check your phone when you're on the toilet. Check your phone the first thing you wake up in the morning. Maybe not hit the gym as hard as you could have. Maybe skipping 3 days at the gym a week. These are things that you actually believe about yourself, and you gotta get brutally fucking honest with yourself. Because the reality about it is that most people, it's an ego thing. No one other than yourself, unless you have some really fucking good friends or a strict ass father, is gonna sit you down and say, you know what, you're doing fuck all with your life. Fix it. Does that make sense? You gotta be the person to do that. I'm telling you to do that. And a lot of people don't have somebody to tell them to do that. And that's why I stayed stagnant and lost in life for so long. Because I couldn't sit down with myself, be accountable and say, what I'm doing is wrong. Because if it was right, I'd be in the position that I want to be in. Now, once you understand what you actually believe about yourself, which you find out through your day-to-day actions, you figure out what you want to believe about yourself. Now, once you identify what you want to believe about yourself, then you go and do those actions. You break it down, do simple inputs every single day, and you do them. Does that make sense? Next part is that it's hard to break them. Your belief systems, I don't know how old you are. Let's say you're 24 years old, okay? If you're 24 years old, you have 24 years of belief systems, trauma, experiences built up over and over and over. It is going to be very hard for you to break them. It is going to be very hard. Same way that, I'm sure if you're, oh, there goes my marker. I'm sure if you guys are, don't believe the news 100%, think about going to your grandma and telling her, hey, the news is fake. The government lies. Surprise. She's gonna be like, that's not true. Because she's been watching the news for 50 years. Why would she believe you? She's been doing this for 50 years straight. Does that make sense? Same way that a lot of people who spend, 5 years running a business or trying to get a business off the ground and it's not working, they're not gonna sit down and say, hey, yeah, the business I'm running is trash. They're gonna keep going because they've blown 5 years into it. Does that make sense? You are literally one belief system change away from being a millionaire. Or maybe your goal isn't a millionaire, maybe it's $500,000. You are one belief system change away from becoming the person you wanna be. Now, the next thing I wanna talk about is ego. Now, most people are stuck where they are simply because of ego. Now, I have a definition that I wrote down on my phone this morning about ego because I had the idea to make this video. And I said, ego is the illusion that you are your thoughts, achievements, or status. It feeds on validation and control, but quietly blocks growth and freedom. The thing about that is you are not your achievements. I am not the high-rise apartment I live in. I am not my 200,000 followers on Instagram. I am not my $1 million business. I am not my $35,000 watch. I am not my YouTube channel. Humans are simply a consciousness manifested in flesh. That's all we are. You are not your bones, you are not the clothes, you are not your eyes, you are not even your brain, and this is gonna sound wild, humans are simply a collective consciousness manifested in flesh. That is all you are. Now the reason why most people get lost in the sauce, or most people stay poor, or let money take over them, is because money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies who you are. So if you don't take care of these deep-rooted problems before you get rich, you're gonna be the worst rich person on the planet. Now, the thing about ego is, like I said, beliefs, to change the belief systems, you have to essentially understand, put the ego aside and say, hey, what I'm doing is wrong, I don't know anything, I'm an idiot, and I think like a poor person, because if I thought like a rich person, I'd be rich. Does that make sense? It's hard to accept, but you gotta accept it. That's reality of it. So, the next thing that I wanna say, let me write ego a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller actually. So, here's your ego. Now, the problem is I'm gonna get a different color marker, changing it up now, don't worry. The thing is that most people tie ego to metrics. So let's just say metrics and ego. Does this make sense? So horizontally is the metrics, vertically is the ego. So most people's graphs of their business looks like this, right? The higher metrics they get, the higher their ego gets. That is a certain, definite compound cocktail for failure. If you think, or if you tie your ego to the metrics that you are getting inside of your business, the things that you are doing, if that makes sense. Let me move this a little bit closer. So if you tie yourself to the metrics that you are getting in your business, if you tie yourself to the money you are making, the moment the money goes down, your ego goes down, your self-worth goes down, therefore your business declines. That is the quickest, sure, foolproof way to go rich and back to poor again. So the next thing I want to talk about, and arguably the most important lesson in today's video, is your why. Why? Why do you want to get rich? Because the truth is for most of you guys watching this video, entrepreneurship is not cut out for you. Entrepreneurship is not cut out for you. It is going to take years of hard work. I'm going to be the only guru, I'd argue. I have a couple thousand subscribers at the time of recording this video. I'm the only person on this space that's going to tell you that getting rich is hard. Getting rich and hitting 6 figures a year is going to be the most mentally and physically strenuous things you are ever going to accomplish in your entire life. Ever. Why do you want to go through all of that? Now, the truth is that most people's whys are shallow. Now, the thing about a shallow why is that it can work and it's selfish, but you can only reach certain numbers with it, if that makes sense. So most people's whys are shallow. Let me move this a little closer. Most people's whys are fairly shallow. Now, they are not going to hit $100,000 a month. They're not going to hit $1 million plus a year because their why is shallow. You can only get so far. I'm gonna say this, okay? You can only get so far with self-fulfilling why. With a self-fulfilling why, with servicing yourself. Does that make sense? You can only hit 10, 20, 30K a month from a selfish perspective. Because your goal and your why with 10, 20, 30K a month is to spend it on yourself. Can you retire your family on 30K a month? No, you can't. Can you take your girlfriend on 5-star vacations on 30K a month? Maybe, but it's not a financially smart decision to do. You can pay for it, you can't afford it though. You know what I'm saying? So the truth is that most people's whys aren't big enough. And the moment you have a why that is keywords bigger than yourself, that is when you are going to hit 7 figures a year and properly become a liquid millionaire. Once you have a why bigger than yourself, that is when you're going to become a millionaire. Because most people operate on selfish needs. Most people operate from a self-servicing or a self-serving motivation, right? A motivational drive factor. My eraser dropped. Give me a sec, guys. Oh shoot. No, don't click off the video. Anyways, most people operate from a self-fulfilling, selfish drive factor, right? Motivating drive. They only go for, I want to get rich so I can get a car. I want to get rich so I can buy myself an iced out watch. I can wear Louis Vuitton clothes. The thing about that is that only is going to get you so far. If you're cool with 30K a month, be my guest. I am not. I'm not cool with 30K a month. I can't do what I want with 30K a month. But the thing is that since I want more than 30K a month, I gotta find a higher and bigger reason to hit 100K, 200K a month. The last thing I wanna talk about, and the biggest takeaway of this video for you guys, is going to be growth. Now, your growth depends on 2 things, okay? Let me erase this. Number 1, your rate of learning. And number 2, your rate of change. Does that make sense? So your growth depends on 2 factors, your rate of learning and your rate of change. Most people are addicted to learning and allergic to applying. The guy who reads 1 book and he analyzes every word, every period, every sentence, every page, every letter, every ink stroke of the book is going to get more value from that 1 book from the guy that skims through 1,000. Do you fully understand what you are taking in? Now this plays into consuming with intention, but I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Do you fully understand the things that you take into your ears and your brain and the inputs you get every single day? Do you remember the takeaways of the podcasts you've listened to? Probably not. If I listen to a podcast, it's gonna be 1, while I'm eating, so I'm able to fully pay attention, or when I'm walking or at the gym. And even then I'll catch myself slipping and not understanding what they're saying, and I have to repeat their words sentence for sentence after they say it in my head so I can retain it. You need to learn as quick as possible and then change as quick as possible. Old keys will not open new doors. Have you guys heard a million times? Your growth depends on your rate of learning and your rate of change, okay? Now, the last lesson for today's video, and arguably the most important and the biggest takeaway I want for you guys, so don't click off quite yet, is intention, okay? Let me fix the I. It's intention. Why do you spend $60 on a tub of protein powder that tastes worse than chocolate milk? It's because you have an intention behind purchasing it. There is a reason, okay? Reason, and that is gains. Believe it or not, it's gains. Just get freaking jacked and big and strong, right? So your intention behind purchasing a overpriced tub of chocolate milk powder is because it has value, which is the gains, the protein that you're gonna get. So do you really remember everything that I've talked about in this video? Chances are probably not, because you're so fried with your brain on dopamine overloading things like junk food, seed oils, sugar, alcohol, substances, and short form content that you're not able to retain information, which is okay, because I was there, but I've overcame it, which is why I'm making the video. You need to consume with intention 24/7. You guys need to be consuming with intention. You need to have a reason and a why behind everything that goes in and out of your mind. Every song you listen to, every podcast you watch or listen to, every YouTube video you watch, every person you follow on Instagram. You need to have an intention behind it. Everything that you do, there needs to be a clear goal and a clear result of what you do. Why do you want to make money? Okay, why do you want to start a business? So you can make money. Why do you want money? So you can buy things. Now this is what I've basically established for myself. I've understood my first principles and my why of making money. My why has changed over the years, which is why I've been able to scale. But why do you want to make money? So you can buy things. Why do you want things? So you can buy, okay, why do I want to make money? So I can buy a Lambo. Why do I want a Lambo? Because I want validation from third-party sources like friends, social media, society. Okay, why do I need that? Then you're going to come to the conclusion of, because I didn't get it when I was growing up as a child, and I need to fulfill it through a third-party factor. Does that make sense? So you need to ask yourself why until you can't anymore, and then that last why is going to be your fundamental first principle reasoning on why you do anything. So you need to consume and act with intention. If I'm making this video with an intention, a goal of helping somebody make $1 million, and I guarantee you somebody is going to get, maybe nobody's going to make $1 million from this video, but I guarantee you I helped somebody out. Guarantee you I helped somebody out. Guarantee you this provided value. Guarantee you someone's going to be closer to $1 million because of this here video. Does that make sense? So without further ado, I want to end it off on one note. You guys got to understand that you need to change. Oops. You need to change. You need to change your belief systems. You need to change your habits. You need to act like the $1 million version of yourself. You need to act like $1 million. You need to be a millionaire before you become a millionaire. Does that make sense? Change your belief systems, change your habits, act like this person. You have to act and behave like the millionaire before you can become the millionaire. I hate course sellers as much as every other one of you guys do, but I'm not sitting here flexing a Lambo. But if you want to work with me, first link is in the description. Drop a subscribe if it was valuable. Take care.